Right, guns are new technology. I've been going to SHOT Show now for 16, well, I guess it'll be technically 18 years next year. And immediately, one of the things I was most impressed with or happy to be able to be included in SHOT Show for was the access to the prototypes and the concept uh, technology. More than just firearms, of course, at SHOT Show, but since we're specifically talking about what guns are here, seeing new developments and new concepts, both just to see the new stuff, which is always neat, but also to see how they're uh, perceived, how they're reacted, how they react, what kind of reactions they get, and then how they're what kind of influence they have on the industry or the markets. And it's not always a level playing field. It's not always similar circumstances. I guess there's good times and bad times. I don't know if it's luck or strategy when people decide to put something out there. Like the Zip 22 is an obvious example of something that was drastically different. But the Derringers, the Boberg, kind of a bullpup pistol, the double shot Derringer was another one that's interesting. Of course, the double 1911s, the side-by-side 1911s. Now there's different triggers, so accessories. But again, if we're talking about specifically firearms, you've got the triple barrel shotgun, which aren't always necessarily the first time three barrels have been put on a shotgun, but putting a triple barrel 12 gauge or 20 gauge as opposed to a multi-barrel hunting gun to the market in the United States for basically recreation and maybe cowboy action shooting, or the development of a new sport that would, or at least a new type of cowboy action event that would take advantage of that change in technology to a third barrel. All those kind of things are interesting, both because we live in a time when that stuff is actively happening. The development of firearms happens all the time. Obviously, with 3D printers, that's a whole nother area. Both emulating what already exists with the 3D technology, but also stretching what can be done or taking it to the next level using the tools like the 3D printer or the inexpensive computer-aided machining tools that we have available to us now. In addition, the collaboration and the communication and the distribution of new information, the sharing of files, machine files, or codes, which allow someone to develop who doesn't necessarily have the means or the ability to produce or to create the file or the produced part, but has the technical ability or the skill set in the software, again, to collaborate on something. So no longer do we live in a time when evolution of firearms depends on one clever person who comes up with a good idea and can then make good on that, bring it out of their mind and onto paper, and then further from paper into reality, either through creating it or emulating it, like in a wooden medium, for example, like Colt did. But then having the wherewithal and the ability to have the skill set to be able to bring that as a capitalist into the view of either somebody who could make it happen, or someone who, like a manufacturer, or somebody who would facilitate that, like a politician or a military person. So yeah, lots of interesting things in the development of firearms. And of course, I'm focused on things, speaking about SHOT Show and these new technologies, I'm speaking about things that are happening currently. But going back and looking backwards, it's almost overwhelming, because the amount of history we have with the guns that exist is one thing, but the amount of guns that didn't get to exist is some exponential number larger than that. So again, when we're talking about what guns are, they're our history, they are our foundations, not just in society and in politics and self-defense and that kind of thing, but also in technology, innovation, machining, materials development. Yeah, there's some interesting stuff when we talk about the machines themselves and the new technology, I guess it just depends on where you focus the dial on the word new. I guess it also, you could flip it over to the word technology and focus on the development of the theory, who had the ideas to go next, or who has the ideas today on what's next. Things that I've petitioned for are alternative projectiles, plastic or ceramic projectiles, and then develop a gun around that concept. If you use a steel projectile, which is relatively easy to produce and inexpensive to produce, you can now power that projectile or push that projectile with magnetism or other options besides expanding gases. But you can still do it with expanding gases. So anyway, I'm thinking there's lots of potential there, and it's an element of firearms that is often overlooked when they attempt to marginalize the property that we own and the people who choose to own it as violent, or somehow condoning the violent acts of a very few, not even a relatively few, almost imperceivably few firearms owners are the ones that they will attempt to suggest we all are. If that makes sense. So with that, I'll quit with the philosophy at the end. The goal is to inspire some conversations that have something to do with firearms, that have nothing to do with the news or the perceptions that the antis are trying to push on us. So let us know in the comments what you think. We're looking forward to those. Till next time. Oh, and I guess if you have any ideas for future episodes, let us know. We are currently doing a batch of these, but if you miss this batch, we'll be doing more whenever these go through. Look for one each week. Thanks for watching.
So let us know what you think. We'll be watching the comments wherever you find the video, over on gunstreamer.com or on guntube.org.
Thank you for supporting our projects. If you'd like to buy us a cup of coffee, check out our Patreon channel.
The guys and gals of gunwebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thank you for watching gunwebsites.com.